Cousins is going to test it.
And coming to the plate is Cousins, and he scores!
Posey can't handle it, and Posey gets clobbered.
Posey is down.
Posey is hurt, and he never caught the ball.
Scott Cousins just blew him up.
Boy, you sure hope Posey is okay.
It obviously did not look very good.
Well, it was a clean play. I mean, it's law of the land around home plate. There's nothing dirty about it.
That was 10 years ago today. Buster Posey getting crushed at the plate. That was taken for granted for 100 years of baseball in that, play at the plate, you ran through the catcher and you took him out. It led to legislation in baseball, actually 2014. It took a few years to try to eliminate the egregious collisions that are there. Dan, I'm thinking I just think it's a better way to play baseball. It's safer. It's still exciting. I think this was a landmark change in that, no, you can change things that you think are from a bygone era. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, BK, I agree with your premise, but I think like any other rule change, there's unintended consequences. When the rule was designed, it states very clearly, the player wants to score, he must maintain a direct path to home plate. It doesn't say avoid collisions.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
I think the rule now is taken that players go out of their way to avoid a collision with the catcher, which I think has taken away one of the more exciting plays at home plate and actually has put position players at more jeopardy for injuries now than catchers. And I don't think it's enforceable from an umpire standpoint because I think the rule is a difficult rule to interpret.
So what's funny there was Daniel Murphy, right? And he's kind of doing this dance.
Yeah, Daniel Murphy be able to go on and
by the way, he can't. That's his fault. He's entitled to barge straight ahead. He just can't go hunting. But
the bottom line is that's what you see more of now in the game. They're not taking a straight line hard to the catchers. Catchers aren't giving runners a lane anymore, and the umpires aren't enforcing it.
All right, so Dan brought his own material. Did you see what he did there?
Yep.
I have a tape, too. Would you like to see my clip? I have a clip from my latest movie, if you'd like to watch it now, Dan.
I don't agree with your tape.
It brings up – no, but watch this now. It's led to more creative things on the field. Ichiro, and he's back in, save! Like, now you can be, more elegant coming into the plate. You can avoid that collision. We've seen hook slides. We've seen crazy things. Now, this is not indicative of every play. But you do have to get creative instead of just and let me show you something else. This was 2013. This has always stayed with me because it's one of the good guys, and he's a catcher, and now he's a major league manager. But it was David Ross in a playoff game, right? It was the Red Sox, and it was the Tigers. It was the ALCS.
Sure. Remember the play.
Here was just the thought of, you know what? We're men being men, and this is what I must do. I must crash into Alex Avila. And Avila, by the way, concussed by this play, one of the many concussions he's had in his career. So I just look at that and say, Ross didn't want to hurt him. Avila didn't want to get hurt. And yet we all felt like, this is what I got to do. I got to run through this guy.
See, on replay, you can see he hunted him. So, to me, that's an automatic suspension, and the runner's automatically out. But
that was before the collision rule,
I'm saying
by the
now.
way.
But if that happens, that should still be a suspension, and run doesn't count. But we have to give base runners an opportunity to go hard into home plate, even if it means upsetting the catcher if the catcher is blocking your path to home plate.
They have that right now.
But they don't do it. That's an unintended consequence of the rule.
Anthony Recker went through this transition, 7 years in the major leagues, the Mets, Braves, among other teams. Anthony, it's Brian Kenny. Great to have you back on the show.
Thanks, Brian. Good to be on.
Anthony, weigh in on this. Again, you also played baseball your whole life playing these rules where a guy would just crash into you. What were your thoughts on the egregious collision rule and what its effect on the game today?
Yeah, originally, when it passed, I didn't like it. I was someone who enjoyed the contact. I enjoyed the play at the plate. I liked the idea of, that play meaning something, that runner wanting to score and me wanting to keep him from scoring, and that collision being part of the game and part of that, showing that intensity of the game where it really mattered, that one run, even in a game that was during the regular season, not even in the playoffs. I enjoyed all that stuff. Now, what has happened with the rule, and I agree with a lot of what Dan was saying there, is some of the unintended consequences, and I think it's hurt position players. I think position players, or I should say the base runners, as they're coming in, they've got to, and you mentioned this, find creative ways around the catcher. Well, the problem is some of these position players, base runners, aren't the most athletic people in the world. So when the catcher presents them with a situation they weren't expecting, they catch the ball, and all of a sudden, boom, they move in front of the base runner. They try to get out of the way because their feeling around this rule is you can't have any, collision with the catcher at all, which isn't the case. But you also can't lower your shoulder or or explode through them, kind of almost similar to like some of the football rules that we're seeing nowadays. That's kind of where they're at with that. They don't want to see that stuff either. So the base runners have basically just decided, okay, I'm going to completely avoid it. Well, when they do that, it's such a split second, last second, okay, quick move. And at times I feel like it just puts them in a very vulnerable position, both whether it be their ankle, their knee, whatever, or they end up getting hit by the catcher because they're coming back to the plate. And sometimes even the catchers, I had it called on me in 14 that I blocked the plate on A.J. Pierzynski. But realistically, when I went back and looked at it, I thought that, I caught the ball and I was within my rights to come in front of the plate. So there was a lot of gray area, and at times there still is.
See, to me, it seems pretty clear. Again, you were out there living it. Before we let you go, Anthony, quickly, what would you like to see happen? Give me something you say, hey, I wish Major League Baseball was played this way around the plate. How?
Look, I don't mind the rule and changing it a little bit because realistically, look, nobody wants to see what happened to Buster Posey. The problem on the Posey play was his positioning wasn't ideal. And, you hate to say, well, Posey, it's your fault. It's not his fault. I mean, but realistically, the way he kind of left his leg out there and he showed the base runner the side of his leg, that put him in a really vulnerable position. And of course, when Cousins did hit him, he rolled it, and that's what, that's how it broke. I was taught to face the foot and the knee towards the base runner, keep it bent, don't put it on the ground, don't expose the side of your leg, because if you do that, that bent knee facing the runner is much, much stronger. He's not going to be able to move that. He's not going to be able to push through that. So I'm in a strong position as the base runner obviously is barreling on me, and both of us will hopefully avoid injury. Now, obviously, the head injury was a main reason behind this. Right. And, since I've graduated from my my adolescent days and my young adult days, I'm not quite so macho. I'm so tough. I have kids now, and I wouldn't want them to have to deal with any kind of head injuries or anything like that. Right. So I appreciate that part of the rule. As far as what they can do, there's not a ton that they can do. It's either you completely eliminate it or you have kind of what we have right now, which is it's allowed, but only under certain circumstances, and you can't go searching for it. The problem is it's so far in the way that they've enforced the rule and the way that the umpires have kind of, eliminated it in some ways. Like I said, in that play for me in 14, I was confused afterwards. That's where we see the gray area, and that's what's become kind of what am I supposed to do? What am I allowed to do?
Anthony, I'll just say we're going to wrap, but it's working. Like, it works. There's an occasional gray area, but I think it works. We got to go. Anthony, we'll do it again. Thank you so much.